All right, hey everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome to Tactical Tuesday live stream. You can see I've got a different here. I'm actually out on the road with the Texas A&M Corps Cadets Marksmanship team. And yes, we're gonna have a good live stream tonight. You guys know the deal. Come snuggle, coach. Come snuggle. Look, I got a spare chair. So, anyways, Coach, he does.
How y'all doing, Tactical Rifleman world?
Yep, everybody loves Coach. Everybody loves Coach. All right, so Coach invited me a few months ago. He's like, "Hey, we are taking some of the cadets out to Mid-South Institute for Combat Shooting. It is a great school. It's not open to the public. It is where USSOCOM goes, not just USSOCOM. Basically, I used to bring my old unit here before every deployment. We would come do our muscle memory with the guns, and they got some of the best shooting facades here, and it was just awesome. My last time here was 2009, so it's been a while. It has been a while. Last time I was here, a warrant officer in my company shot himself in the calf. But anyways, Coach,
yeah,
thank you for having me out.
Their primary customer base is SEAL teams.
Yeah.
But Dev Group comes here.
Yep.
R19 comes here. The 160th comes here a couple times a year. All their aircrew have to qualify.
Yep.
Because if they have to defend their bird, or they got to integrate themselves. If they get shot down, they got to integrate themselves into the mission. They got to be able to shoot.
They've got they got some of the best instructors on the planet here. And these guys are geared towards taking great operators and making them better. So this is not a place to bring inexperienced shooters at all. And that's
everything here is challenging.
Yesterday was our first day here, and Coach, he had his cadets here, and the instructors he's not a new instructor, but he'd never worked with the cadets before. And he started like his intro, like he was, these are cadets. This ain't my usual guys. But after the first few magazines, he's like, "Hey, Coach, your cadets shoot pretty good." Hey, we got a different sponsor tonight. We actually do. Kind of cool. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them. It's a company called Shields. They are your retail destination for sports, outdoors, and fashion. You want to dress like this beautiful man right here. That's what you gotta wear. Think Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop, something like that. That's the kind of store this is. Right now, they got 30 retail stores spread out across most of the U.S. in predominantly red areas. But they're doing more. It is a employee-owned company, and they carry all your great brands: Leopold, Vortex, Lacrosse. A bunch of cool parts. They've got ammo, and a lot of places that are out of stock, these guys actually have ammo. The other thing, they've got a huge spring shooting promotion. It's not today, relax, but it's actually March 18th through the 26th. So anyways, check them out. Shields, new sponsor for us. We are glad to have them. Always cool. So here's the deal. Here's what we do, Coach. And for those of you that are new here with us, because we had 12 people. We're already up to 107. I can't read the chat room. One, I can't read it that fast. One, two, half the shit you nutbags type in there, like Jerry J doing improvised explosive recipes. Understand, I don't need I need plausible deniability in a court of law. So how we do this is basically you can click on Super Chat at the bottom, right? And if you want to make a small donation to the preservation of Carl Erickson Foundation, you can do that. That gets your questions bumped up higher on the list. But you don't have to, as much as I'd appreciate that.
Susan, no, we can't do that on the internet, but maybe later.
We don't read that. That's why we don't read that. You understand? That's why
I know.
Now you know why we don't read it. But if you guys have legitimate questions, what we do is Miss Britcher, she's one of our moderators. We've got a couple other moderators. So if you're a troll, they'll put you in timeout for so many seconds. And after that, we've already turned the other cheek. You're gone. You're banned forever. So if you're a troll in your mother's basement, go upstairs, get some Hot Pockets, sit down. You might learn something, but please don't troll my chat room. But what we do is Susan, if you get legitimate questions, Susan will text them to me And that's how we run our live stream. So anyways, good stuff indeed. We did pistol yesterday, and don't worry, I'm going to have a couple of the young cadets on here also, because coach is supposed to be cooking dinner for them right now. You realize you left a unattended kitchen with 10 cadets. They're going to burn the building down.
Yeah, I got to kill cows. They're big.
We did pistol yesterday, and I didn't shoot that much. Me and coach, we stand back. He's got Gunny with him and another coach, and we stand back and watch the cadets soak in all the information from these tier 1 instructors. And the cool part about the cadets, where remember I said I used to bring my old unit here before every deployment. So you're getting the same classes, but you've already had them 5 times, and it's just the new guys on the team that are getting it for the first time. But it's fun to just do the drills.
I'd say fundamentals never go away.
They never go away.
And you always need that work, especially when you're a pro, because you got so many things that you have to do.
Definitely. But his cadets are just soaking all this stuff up like sponges, and it's really awesome to watch, because you know the deal. They can only listen to dad so much, but after that, and the funny part is half the stuff dad says they don't believe is true, but they come here and these instructors that teach SEAL Team 6 and everybody else, they're like, hey, we want you to do it this way, and they're all like, that's the way coach told us to do it, which is funny as hell. It's awesome. I love having
I wish we could show y'all this place, but
not allowed to film it.
You're not allowed to film here anywhere. I got a few stills, but even still shots we can't take. None of the targetry, none of the ranges, none of the cool stuff. I mean, this place is absolutely phenomenal. There's a portion of the range that is called the facade. That's not top secret, but
everybody talks about it. Everybody wants to get their name up on the wall.
It was designed to replicate what happened in Mogadishu, moving through structures, shooting around cars, reactive steel targets. It is absolutely to run half of the facade normally is a 5 or 6 minute run. To run the whole thing 7 or 8 or 9 minutes, and you'll go through an entire basic load just working your way down.
I want that to sink in. It's not like it takes 7 minutes to do it. It takes 7 minutes to do it, but that's operators running through it, and you're doing 7 magazines of 5.56.
And you shoot it as a team. It's not an individual thing. So you shoot it in pairs.
2-man teams, 4-man teams.
And you're bounding over each other.
Every time you get to a new window or doorway or behind a vehicle, there's on the wall the letters and numbered targets you're supposed to shoot out there. So now you're looking around, and there's just steel targets everywhere that are knocked down. They're all pneumatic, and it's like you're being overrun with bad guys, and you got to do your part. You've got to engage the ones that are listed, and if your buddy's doing the same, you work your way through the facade. It's fun. At the end of that one was something that was new. Well, it was new back in 2009. I'm dating myself. They've got a bunch of new ranges here, but they got the Punisher way down the end, and same thing. And it's designed to work all the fundamentals, switching shoulders, standing, kneeling, prone, shooting supported, shooting unsupported, shooting movers, steel moving targets. It is a great time. Great time indeed. I'm glad I would not get a chance to come back here because I'm a fag now, former action guy. I'm a civilian.
I'm sure somebody wants to know how that warrant officer shot himself. It's actually a pretty good story. It's a great Carl story. We'll get to it. You know, one of the cool things about this,
he was reholstering. He was trying to reholster as fast as he draws, and you know, we always say reluctantly reholster, but I want you to understand why. Okay, because
trying to get his rifle back.
You've pulled the pistol out. Or rifle, whatever it is, you understand you're in fight or flight. You're in a 2-way gunfight, and you've literally just gently pushed the soul out of another body at 2,600 feet per second, and you've got all that biohazard there. So your heart rate's up. You're in your full-blown fight or flight, and if you had to go to your pistol, even worse, you're having the worst day of your life. Well, guys wanting to go that you want to draw fast, and you do, but the reality is you don't want to put that pistol away. Did I hit? Did I get the desired effect? I did. But is there anybody else that needs love? You don't want to put it away. Is there somebody behind the Dorito aisle? Is there somebody over there behind, gas station, wherever you're at? There's nobody. You're sure there's nobody? You're sure. Now, are you sure? You're sure there's not? You put it away reluctantly. The gunfight's over with. Right. And I'm very big on, because we don't train enough. We don't. I look at the holster. He didn't look at his holster. And there are guys that train not to look at the holster. I got that. I understand. But my everyday carry, guys, is a appendix carry holster. Trust me, I am going to look at my holster before I put this away. So I tell people to reholster reluctantly, but the story I use is I have seen 5 operators shoot themselves. I didn't say 5 cooks. I didn't say 5 National Guard guys. I didn't say 5 civilians. I've seen 5 operators shoot themselves. 3 of them were reholstering their gun. And I want that to sink in, because the cool guys that, anyway, I'm not getting on my high horse or nothing. I want you to learn from other people's mistakes. He was a great operator, still a great operator this day. There were some other circumstances to it. A safety had been disabled on his firearm by the weapons guy on that team. That's another story. But anyways, no matter who you want to blame it on, you're still the one that pressed the trigger to the rear. So anyways, not mean an event.
It's kind of one of the things that's
you
kind of cool.
You make good coffee, dude.
Yeah.
You make good coffee.
Man, I can't live without coffee. I can't. I'm sitting here looking out the window of what we call the range house, 2-story, probably built in the 30s, columns in the front. If you drove by the state highway past this place, there's no sign. You would think you were driving past some redneck farm out here on the river bottom. And that's one of the cool things about this place, is it is completely off the wall.
All right. First question here from Philip Wilson. His question is, any recommendations for replacement trigger for my new Glock 45? Here's the deal, guys. And if you're new to our channel, we've got 150 people here. I am big. What makes a Glock awesome, because they're not comfortable. They're not the most accurate. They're not, but what makes a Glock awesome is it is reliable. It doesn't matter if it's covered in mud, it's covered in snow, in water, whatever. That Glock goes bang every time. No matter what kind of ammo you put in it, the Glock goes bang every time. The more you start swapping parts, I need a titanium firing pin so I have a faster lock time. You understand, you're taking the Glock out of the Glock. Now, one thing I will say is I always swap out my connectors to a 3.5-pound connector so that all my Glocks have the same trigger in them. Now, an example, what I'm talking about is a Glock 34 or 35 comes stock with a 3.5-pound connector. There's a little minus symbol on the connector, but your Glock 17 comes with a, 5.5?
5.5 pounds.
All right. So that literally, I changed that. I changed the sights. I might put a red dot optic on it, but that's all I change. I don't change anything else. Now, fast forward, Pete Jones, you guys know Pete Jones. He's done a bunch of videos for us, like how to replace triggers, things like that. He sells Timney triggers, and Timney triggers are great competition triggers, and they try to say, well, we've got a combat trigger now. And I've ran 2 Timney triggers in ARs that have died. They've died. And in their defense, those were competition triggers, but I ended up taking them out of my gun. So Pete wanted to film a video on their new Glock trigger by Timney. And this is awesome. And Carl, you're going to love this trigger. It's so smooth. Against my better judgment, I put it in, I let him on video. You can pull it up on our video archive. I let him put it in my, it didn't get any views because YouTube's demonetizes. I let him put it in my Glock 45. That's my work gun. That's the one you guys will see in my gun belt and everything. I've been running it 6 months now. And I told him I would run it until it died. I basically give him a legitimate test of it. It was in the gun maybe a month, we did Operation Valkyrie. I was telling you about it. It died. Now I just took it out from underwater out of my kayak. I know it still had water in it, but the same thing had happened the 3 previous winters. Wet, frozen gun. My Glock always worked with the Glock trigger in it. This past Operation Valkyrie, it's been a year now. It's been a year. It bang, tap rack, bang, tap rack. Now, I've tried to replicate it, buckets of water. I couldn't replicate it, but it's still there that my Glock didn't run. And the only thing that changed from the 3 years prior was that I had a Timney trigger in it. It's nice, it's smooth, but I still miss my Glock trigger. So today, this morning, actually, literally this morning, I just put a Glock trigger back into my Glock 45. So if you insist on getting an aftermarket trigger, the Timmy one is nice. I will give them that. I hear Zev makes a couple nice competition triggers. But the reality is, if your finger is so weak that you can't handle a 5-pound trigger or 3.5-pound trigger, you've got to have a 3-pound. One, you need to hit the gym, not the department store. So,
can I answer that?
Yeah, please. Coach is big on the best triggers. So,
so I'll tell you this: a couple of things. Anytime you add to repeat what Carl said, anytime you add a aftermarket part to a Glock, you're taking away reliability. So there's that. Sights don't affect reliability. There are better sights. Even Glock will tell you they put the sights on. It's a price point thing for them. So there are better sights out there. Strikers, plungers, all that kind of stuff. You don't need any of that. Extractors, ejectors, you don't need aftermarket parts on that. You can spend the money, but you don't need it. Barrels used to be a thing with Glocks. You know, you could get a better barrel if you want to shoot lead. Glock factory barrels were what they are. I'll tell you this: a Gen 5 barrel. I have plenty of barrels given to us to run, to shoot, to test.
Yeah.
The Gen 5 barrels are as accurate as any aftermarket custom barrel, period, end of conversation. So if you have a Gen 3 or Gen 4, maybe an aftermarket barrel might work a little bit better. As far as triggers go, I've played with a lot of triggers. I've tested a lot. There is one trigger that I trust in my guns. There's one trigger that we will use, and it's made by a guy named John McNelly. He's a former USAMU member, gold medalist. Him and his dad designed this trigger. It's called the Mick Glock, MC, just like McDonald's, Mick Glock trigger. And it solves the one problem that there is with the Glock, which is over travel. Reset, not so bad. In fact, the Gen 5 triggers are really, really good. But you still have a little bit of reset. But over travel after the striker breaks off of the trigger and goes forward, you have a little bit of movement. And any factory trigger, all striker fired guns are the same in that respect. The John's trigger, the McGlock trigger, stops moving, and you adjust it with set screws that you can then lock tight in place. It's a great trigger. Not just me saying it. He sells them 100 at a time to folks at Fort Bragg. So if you want to know what they're running in their guns, that's what they run. If you want an aftermarket trigger that works, the McGlock is a trigger. I trust it in all of my personal guns. I can't have any of them ever gone away. One has gone away. I put one in a Glock, in a Gen 3, probably 6 or 7 years ago, a Gen 3 17. That trigger literally that I know of, had 30,000 rounds on it. I shot out a barrel, replaced the barrel. After 30,000 repetitions or more, that trigger went away. I called John. He's like, I'll send you a new one. Okay, so even then, they're not perfect. They're not gonna never die. But a Glock trigger, a standard Glock factory trigger after 30,000 rounds ain't going to be real healthy either. So absolutely recommend that. Some of y'all have heard me say, and we've got some different people here. At some point, I want to get you to get Brian in here and talk to him. Any of y'all that I've worked with in training have heard me say that I've taught a monkey how to shoot. That monkey's here. So, and that monkey flies a C-130 now. But